Hi. Okay, so this is Joella again. So the last time we spoke, it was actually about Abraham and Lot, and the take home was to follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord, regardless of whoever the man is. Now, I was actually going through a major Abrahamic. There was a major thing I wanted to talk about regarding Abraham's life. But in the course of my study, I that's when I had that first aside with, Lot and Abraham. And in this second one, this is also an aside. It was when I got to Genesis 20. Genesis 20. This was where Abraham, went to a foreign land because of, I think, famine. And then so when he got to the foreign land, the king was Abimelech. And so he had to lie that Sarah was his sister because of her beauty, so that he won't be killed in the foreign land. And then, of course, when King Abimelech saw beautiful Sarah, he took her. When he took her, and then God spoke to Abimelech in his dream and told him to return Sarah back to Abraham. Now, the catch in this story is this. In verse 6, Genesis 20, verse 6, God told Abimelech to return Sarah back to Abraham because Abimelech's household was experiencing barrenness, his household. And so God spoke to him in a dream and said he should return Sarah back to Abraham so that the barrenness in Abimelech's household will be lifted. The barrenness, note the words I'm stressing. The barrenness in Abimelech's household. Abraham will pray for Abimelech so that the barrenness in his household will be lifted. Now, at this time we're talking about, Abraham didn't have a child and he has been looking up to God for a child. Was praying to God for a child, and God was assuring him. But when Abimelech had a challenge, God told Abimelech to come to Abraham to pray for him. Now see, when Abimelech actually came to Abraham, and Abraham prayed for Abimelech's household, the Bible said that they began to have children. Not a child. The household had children, not one person. The household had children. Now, this is Abraham that just wanted a child, for crying out loud. He has been crying out to God for a child, and God used him to cause children in somebody else's household, which is as in his servants, the wives, and all that. So the thing is that God can use anyone the way he wishes to use anyone. And if God decides to use you, what should be your attitude? It should be humility and gratitude. That God used you to bless somebody, or God used you to cause a testimony in somebody's life. It doesn't mean that you have the capacity in yourself. It should just mean that God really acknowledged you and is using you. That should cause humility, and thanksgiving. That God, thank you for counting me worthy to be used. And another mistake is that if a miracle happens to somebody, because you went to a minister or went to administration and all that, it's not that person. It's not that person. It's just God. It is totally God. It just shows you the awesome power of God. So we shouldn't make a mistake to ascribe, glory to either the person that the testimony happened through, or you that God used you to achieve that testimony for somebody else. Don't think that you're all it. You should just know that you count yourself privileged, that God allowed the miracle to happen through. So we should focus on God, not the vessel that was used. God is just a master planner. The irony of this Abraham's story was that God God used him to allow Abimelech's family to have children. We don't know the name of any of those children, not one of them. But when God, the master planner, at the right time, when he gave Abraham his Isaac, who doesn't know about Isaac? Isaac was just a unique child, the child of laughter. When you stick to God's plan, forget what's happening in somebody else's life. You just stick to God's plan. Just keep his word, obey him, just stick with him. When he will bring your own Isaac, when that testimony happens, you will see how life will be changed through your own testimony. It will be an outstanding thing. God, as if when things are delayed for people, you see those people are the ones that are very special. See Hannah, when she had Samuel, we don't even know the name of is it Penina's children? We don't even know their names. But who doesn't know the name of who doesn't know Samuel, the kingmaker? The same thing with Abraham. See, when he had the Isaac, the testimony was a testimony changer for the whole of Israel. The Isaac. Now this is another thing. As a child of God, just know that when God causes you a testimony, God is doing it. God is causing that testimony for you. Is an investment that God is causing for you. It's an investment. As a child of God, the Bible says that the axe is laid at the foot of the tree, that anyone that doesn't bear fruit will be cut down. That tree is a tree. It's not just a seed. It has grown to become a tree. So it's not just a little young, person that doesn't know God. You know God. You're a tree. You've grown. And then you are the seaside, being fed and nourished. That nourishment is for you to cause salvation story for others. That's what God does. Remember the story of the talent in Matthew 25:14-30. When the master was, traveling, and then he was, he called his servants, and these were his servants. That's what the Bible said. They were his servants, in Matthew 25:14-30. Let me use the Message translation. He says that it's like Jesus is one telling this story. He says it's also like a man going off on an extended trip. He called his servants together and delegated responsibilities. So when God has given you something, a gift, a talent, a testimony, whatever it is, it's just a sign that he's seeing you as being more responsible. So if you show that responsibility, make God not regret investing in you. So he gave one $5,000 to another $2,000 to another $1,000, depending on their abilities. So the thing that God has given you is not because one person is better than the other. It's because of your ability. Just like God says that we are different bodies, different parts in the body. And Christ is the head. Some people are the buttocks, some people are the legs, some people are the hands, some people are the eyes, some people are the nose, some people are the teeth. The size doesn't determine the functionality. And so when God gives you that thing, be functional. And so when the master left, the story, the one with 5 talents doubled it, and the master was proud of him. The one with 2 talents also doubled it. But the one with 1 talent, the Bible says in verse 20, Matthew 25, from verse 24 to 25. Let me read that 24-25. The servant giving 1,000 said, Master, I know you have high standard and you hate careless ways, that you demand the best and make no allowances for error. God is just giving us, Jesus is giving us a hint of who God is, what God demands. He demands, he said, I am holy. Be thou holy like I am holy. And so God has, when God invests in you, he has an expectation. Yes, he has an expectation, And so when the master saw that the guy couldn't reproduce anything from it, he took back that 1 talent and gave to the guy that risked the most, the guy with 10 talents. Gave him, the talent. And the Bible said that, they threw him into utter darkness. That's what the Bible said. So when you have a testimony, it's not for you to go and say, oh, now I'm big. Remember the story of the rich fool. That Bible called him the rich fool in Luke 12:16-21, using the King James Version. when Jesus was telling us the parable of the man that his ground brought forth plentiful. The Bible said he thought within himself, what shall I do? I have no room where to bestow my fruit. This will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and then I will bestow all my fruit and my goods. That he will put his fruit inside his barn. And he will say to his soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall require of thee. And he said, who shall all these things you've laid up, who will it be for? It's just a warning that when God blesses you or God has enlarged you in any way, make sure that thing is causing a testimony, is causing salvation story. Make sure that it's not just for you to go and enlarge like this rich fool the Bible talked about in Luke, in the book of Luke 12. Let's not be like that. Let's be one that God will invest in us, and God will be happy with his investment, that his investment will yield salvation story in somebody else's life. I pray that God will give us wisdom and revelation so that we will not just live a life of the rich fool. We'll see ourselves very soon when I come with a major Abrahamic Expo. Bye.